Protesters hit the streets in Arizona, Pennsylvania, Florida, and of course Georgia again as the votes get counted. This could all come down to the smallest margins between President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. The president is leading in Pennsylvania, but that lead is shrinking. And again, overnight, Biden took a very small lead in Georgia. Arizona and Nevada, where Biden is leading, will continue reporting their counts later today. Laura Podesta has it all from Washington.
Good morning. Tensions remain high across the country as Americans keep a close watch on the vote tally. Right now, 4 states are razor thin. And President Trump has been tweeting throughout the night, but most of his tweets are being censored for being misleading about the election.
Democracy is sometimes messy.
After 4 days of counting ballots, former Vice President Joe Biden has overtaken President Trump in the state of Georgia.
We have no doubt that when the count is finished, Senator Harris and I will be declared the winners.
Votes are still being counted in Georgia and elsewhere. On Thursday, the former vice president urged patience.
The process is working. The count is being completed, and we'll know very soon.
President Trump had large leads on election night in a handful of states, but those began to disappear once the tally of mail-in ballots began.
It's amazing how those mail-in ballots are so one-sided.
At the White House, Mr. Trump made a number of false claims and attacked the integrity of the election.
And this is a case where they're trying to steal an election. They're trying to rig an election.
The Trump campaign has filed lawsuits in several states trying to halt the process. But election officials around the country say they've seen no evidence of voter fraud.
The strength of the integrity of this vote is really unparalleled.
Trump supporters gathered at vote counting centers around the country and repeated the president's false accusations. Some officials say they're concerned for their safety.
I can tell you that my wife and my mother are very concerned for me, but we have security here.
A senior administration official tells CBS News the president may not concede the election if Biden declares victory. I'm Laura Podesta in Washington, D.C. Now back to you.
All right, Laura, thank you from Washington once again. Now, if Biden becomes the projected winner in Pennsylvania, he will have reached 270 electoral votes without needing any other states.
President Trump made a variety of false claims last night about the ongoing ballot counting and about what he calls illegal votes. Our Verified team has been busy fact-checking several things the president said. Here's Jason Puckett.
It's always our job to separate fact from fiction and be transparent while we do it. So up front, the president's speech Thursday was filled with falsehoods and light on facts. Here are a few of his claims Thursday night.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us. If you count the votes that came in late, we're looking at them very strongly.
This claim is false on multiple levels. At this point, no state has reported processing any illegal or late votes. The National Conference of State Legislatures has a detailed breakdown of when states stopped accepting ballots via mail. Here's the main point. In all states, as long as a ballot is received on Election Day, it is perfectly legal to count, no matter how long it takes the state to process it. Now, some states' ballots will be counted after Election Day, but only if they are postmarked by November 3rd.
We kept the Senate despite having twice as many seats to defend as Democrats.
This is currently false. It is possible that Republicans will keep a majority in the Senate, but it's not final yet. Republican candidates in North Carolina and Alaska are both leading by multiple points, but both Senate seats in Georgia are still on the table and could be in a runoff. If Democrats won both Georgia seats, the Senate would likely be 50-50.
The election apparatus in Georgia is run by Democrats.
This claim is false. Elections in Georgia are run and overseen by the Georgia Secretary of State. In this case, that's Brad Raffensperger, a Republican and former representative in the Georgia House of Representatives. He was actually endorsed by Donald Trump in November 2018. That wasn't the only claim the president made about Georgia.
In Georgia, a pipe burst in a faraway location, totally unrelated to the location of what was happening, and they stopped counting for 4 hours.
A pipe did burst, but it wasn't in a random location, quote, unrelated to what was happening. It was at the State Farm Arena, which was an absentee ballot counting site. Georgia election officials explained that a water leak caused a delay in tabulating absentee ballots, but they said within 2 hours, repairs were complete and no ballots or equipment were damaged. For more claims from the speech, check our website. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
Jason, thank you so much. And if you have questions about where election results stand, you can text that keyword there, results, to 713-526-1111, and we'll send you a link to your phone.